They say there's nothing more American than standing up to a bully. But I gotta tell you, when the bully is your HOA president and the victim is your disabled little sister, well, that hits different. Picture this. It's just past 6 in the morning. The world's still foggy, and my sister Delilah is rolling out in her wheelchair, hair a mess, pajama pants bunched around her ankles. She's staring at a bulldozer tearing up her custom ramp, the only way she can get out of the house, while Bryce, our HOA president, stands there with his smug little clipboard and that weaselly insurance adjuster smile. Diesel fumes metal screeching my sister's quiet crying. $8,000 of freedom turned into scrap metal, and then because cruelty is never complete without paperwork, Bryce hands her a bill for $200 for removal services. Yeah, that happened. The only thing he got wrong. He thought we were the perfect victims, just a couple nobodies he could push around. But Delilah, she's never been anybody's victim, and Bryce had no clue whose toes he'd just stomped on. Let me back up a sec. I'm Marcus, and Riverside Heights used to be one of those places where you knew all your neighbors, and the biggest drama was whose dog kept digging in the flower beds. Then life blindsided us. Parents gone in a car accident, me working construction, Delilah quietly working her boring government job, never saying much except that she handled regulations, appropriations, that sort of thing. She worked from home, always in meetings, but I figured she was just another faceless bureaucrat, right? Then some idiot with more beers than brain cells T-boned her at an intersection and changed everything. 4 months in the hospital, half a year in rehab, and just like that, Delilah's world shrank to what her wheelchair could reach. So I did what any brother would do. Built her the best damn ramp in Missouri. Smooth incline, decorative rails, the works all to code, permits, filed and approved, but apparently what I didn't file was the right paperwork for the neighborhood overlords, our HOA, because Bryce Kellerman, the guy whose hobbies include measuring grass height and killing Christmas spirit, decided we were in willful noncompliance. His little army sent notices to the wrong address, then denied us the usual 30-day grace period. No appeal. No conversation, just a bulldozer at dawn while Delilah sat there crying, humiliated and stuck. Then came the fines. $200 a day every day until she removed the ramp. That was already gone. Here's the thing, Delilah, the sister I'd thought was broken by all this, just nodded and paid up. She acted like nothing mattered anymore, like the world had finally crushed her spirit. But she wasn't defeated, not even close. Behind that office door, Delilah was making calls, collecting documents, muttering words like federal compliance and budget allocations in a voice I'd never heard before. I was out in the garage cursing Bryce, thinking I had to protect my sister, and meanwhile, Delilah was quietly planning to blow the whole rotten system sky high. Now, Bryce wasn't satisfied with just wrecking the ramp. He showed up with Trevor, his oily lawyer buddy, smelling like he bathed in cologne and desperation, waving a stack of legal threats in our faces, pay $3,400 in fines or lose your house. He even accused me of forging city permits. Me, a guy who's been doing construction in this county for 2 decades. But while I was fuming, Delilah was documenting. Every notice, every conversation, every dollar. I asked her what she was doing. She just smiled and said, "Let the system work." That should have been my first clue. So I started digging 2 old habits die hard. Turns out Bryce himself had fast-tracked his own deck addition without an HOA review, and he was 3 feet over the setback. He'd bent the rules for himself, then slammed us for a clerical error. I tracked down 6 other neighbors, shed pergola koi pond, all with late permits. All forgiven, all got friendly letters. Only us bulldozer and daily fines. Selective enforcement. That's the kind of thing that can get an HOA in real hot water, at least if you know which levers to pull. The real twist, Delilah wasn't just building a case, she was building a war room. Every neighbor who'd ever gotten a nonsense fine joined up Mrs. Morgan with her kitchen window camera Pete from the hardware store, even folks who'd never liked us. We became the neighborhood resistance, the support group nobody wanted but everybody needed. Meanwhile, Bryce doubled down complaints threats, even tried to get my construction license pulled. The guy didn't realize that with every escalation he was handing us more rope. Then Delilah called her shot. We show up to the HOA meeting, Bryce in his best country club khakis. 30 neighbors packed in, and my sister rolling up to the microphone for the first time. You could feel the whole room bracing for impact. Bryce launches into his PowerPoint, gleefully clicking through pictures of our eyesore ramp, blathering about community standards, while Delilah just takes notes cool as a cucumber. And then I stand up, lay out Bryce's own violations, name the other neighbors who got grace periods, quote the law about equal protection. Bryce tries to wriggle out claims he got verbal approval for his deck, can't prove it, of course. Then he tries to pivot, says it's about maintaining property values for the investor. Crowd proposes raising fines to $500 a day and calls for a vote. It's all going off the rails, but Delilah's just getting started. She takes the mic and in this calm, clear voice starts asking questions about federal grants, ADA compliance, what the HOA did with the $280,000 in community development funds. She brings up Missouri state law, federal contracts, and you can see the sweat breaking out on Bryce's face. Some of the board members start to fidget. She's not threatening, she's just precise. The meeting falls apart. Neighbors start whispering, somebody records the whole thing. And that's when Bryce crosses the last line, files for a restraining order on. He tries to slap Delilah with a city violation for accessibility non-compliance, all while running up legal bills and hiring private security to protect the community. The dude's paranoia turns our street into a war zone. Then comes the real reveal. One morning, I barge into Delilah's office, coffee in hand, and catch her on a video call with the Missouri Budget Committee. Only it's not a committee member, it's the chair. Delilah. My quiet sister is the damn governor of Missouri, running half the state from her home office, coordinating federal investigations, and oh, by the way, controlling every dollar of HOA grant funding Bryce ever spent. That was the moment I realized the guy with the bulldozer had been poking a bear in a wheelchair, and the bear was about to eat him alive. It was game over. Delilah called in her allies, a civil rights attorney, a Pulitzer-hunting journalist, neighbors with surveillance footage. Every abuse, every dime, every violation was meticulously documented. The DOJ opened a review. State auditors started combing through financial subpoenas, dropped like confetti, and the media was waiting to turn the whole thing into a statewide referendum on HOA power. Bryce never saw it coming. His emergency meeting turned into his own public execution, packed City Hall, local news, and Delilah rolls up to the podium. Mr. Kellerman, she says, you've been systematically harassing the governor of Missouri for 3 months. I hope the experience has been educational. 5 minutes later, subpoenas were being served, the feds were in the room, and Bryce was being escorted out, still shouting about constitutional rights, while nobody listened. Residents cheered, board members resigned, and the whole neighborhood felt lighter, like a storm had finally passed. 1 week later, we rebuilt the ramp. This time, half the neighborhood pitched in. BBQ power tools, music playing, kids laughing, and Delilah rolling up the new ramp with the governor's office on speaker. Bryce got 18 months in federal prison for grant fraud, restitution up the wazoo, and a bankruptcy that'll haunt him for life. The HOA turned over a new leaf, Mrs. Morgan as president, accessibility as law, monthly potlucks, and a little less paranoia. Delilah's law passed statewide. HOA training, real accountability, whistleblower protection. Marcus, that's me, started a business making homes accessible for people like my sister. And life found a new normal, one where community means something again. The ramp's got a plaque now. For everyone who stood up. Kids ride their bikes down at Neighbors Wave, and every day that little patch of Riverside Heights feels like justice done right. So tell me, what would you do if your HOA tried to bulldoze your dignity? You got a nightmare neighbor story? Drop it in the comments. Let's remind the Bryces of the world that every petty tyrant's got somebody to answer to, and sometimes that somebody has receipts. Hit like, share your thoughts, and subscribe if you want more real stories about standing up to power. Because next time the bully's getting bulldozed,